Okay, let's start. Number one, or question number 10, actually. This is continuation from the first exam. It's midterm. Let's go through it. And you're looking for two things. You're looking for I, and you're looking for I squared. Let's write this down. So the first thing I notice is it's 2. I see an I squared to the 30th power. And then it's going to be I. And that would give me 61 I's minus 3 I squared. That's going to be to 67 I. 2 times 67, 134 plus 1 is 135. Minus 4 I squared. That's 24, so a 12. Plus 5 I squared. And that's going to be 54. And then you can get an I. Minus 6 I squared to the 30th power. All right, let's do one at a time. So it's going to be 2. I squared is minus 1 to the 30th power. I. Minus 3. Minus 1 to the 67th power. I. Minus 4. Minus 1 to the 12th power. Plus 5. Minus 1 to the 54th power. I. Minus 6 times minus 1 to the 30th. Let's keep going. Well, minus 1 to the 30th power is going to be plus 1, so you get 2I. Now, minus 1 to the 67th power is negative 1. So minus 3 times minus 1 is plus 3, so plus 3I. And what do you get there? Minus 1 to the 12th power is going to be 1, so you get minus 4 then. And let's see, minus 1 to the 54 is positive 1, so you can get plus 5I. And then you're going to get minus 1 to the 30th, which is 1, you can get minus 6. All right, I'm going to highlight things we're adding together. Minus 4 and minus 6 is minus 10. And then I'm going to add the i's together. 2, 3, that's 5, plus 5 is 10. All right, that's done. Okay, number 11, what they want us to do there is evaluate something. And certainly, they want to know what g of 1 is, certainly. What do you get there? You get minus 1, and on bottom you get 1 plus 1, which is 2. Then they want to do f of g of 1. So it's going to be f of, well, g of 1 is minus 1/2. And what does f do to it? Well, it's 1 minus twice the argument, which is minus 1/2. So we get there 1 plus 1, which is 2. Look for the answer. The answer is C. So next one. This one state the domain and range of it. Well, I don't see any issues with this one over here. So the domain is all real numbers. And what do I know about this? It's a parabola that opens upwards like this over here. So what I got to do is I got to get the vertex of it. And the vertex, pretty simple. It's 2, comma, 5. What's the range? It's this thing over here. Well, what's the smallest it can be? The smallest it can be is 5, and it actually touches it. It's a point right here, and then it goes off to infinity. All right, let's go to 13 now. 13 says find the inverse of it. Well, let's go through this. And the first thing I'll do is write down the domain of this, which is really easy to do, by the way. It's going to be, well, certainly the x minus 1 has to be greater than or equal to 0 for the radical, but I can't have it to be 0 because it'll be division by 0. So it's going to be from 1 off to an infinity. All right? Now, the other things are going to be more difficult, and I would say, maybe hold off on the range for the time being, and maybe just go off to the looking for the inverse now. But I'll put this over here. We'll think about that in a moment, but that's more difficult. I'm going to write down f inverse. And what I know about the f inverse, I'll put down domain. You know what? I noticed I just put that. I shouldn't have done that. Let me get an eraser out. I don't know f inverse yet. I don't know the domain yet either. I put the range down now. And what's the range going to be? 1 to infinity. All right, let's write this down now. We're going to look for the inverse. Y equals 1 over the root x minus 1. X equals 1 over the root y minus 1. I'm going to try to solve for y. And what I would do is multiply both sides by the root of y minus 1. You would get this. I would divide both sides by x. I would get this. I would square both sides. I would get this. And then I'd add 1 to both sides. And you get y equals 1 over x squared plus 1. You could also get a common denominator here, x squared, and this will be 1 plus x squared. Either one is fine. I'll write down them both. I prefer to see this, though. But this is also acceptable. They're both acceptable. All right? Let's start talking about the range. But if this is taking you a long time to think through it, my gut feeling is don't think through it then. Just don't bother. I do know something about this, and what I mean by that, looking at it, I know that whatever this thing is, it's got to be positive. And I'm going to say, x is large, certainly it gets real big on the bottom, so I'm going to say this thing goes towards 0. And then what happens, if you take the x and get closer and closer and closer to 0, things going to blow up, and it goes off to infinity. However, for a lot of students, that's tough to think about. And if it is, you might have to rethink it. Anyway, let's go over here and put this down now. Now, by the way, having the inverse might help us with that as well, because looking at it, what do I know about it? I know the inverse is always positive. And just like it's 1 over x squared plus 1, it's always positive. And that's something that it's good to know. And certainly, what does that mean? It's got to be a positive number. That certainly could help you out. But what did they ask us to do? They asked us to do it algebraically. Did it. We found the inverse, which domain and range. I'll put a box in this indicating that it's important. And by the way, they also asked for this as well. All right, let's go to the next question. And next question is, they're talking about equation of a circle with the center. Let's write this down. So x minus 2 squared plus y plus 4 squared. They don't give me the radius, though, by the way. But they do give me a point in the circle, 0 minus 8. Let's plug it in. If you plug in 0 for x, you would get 4 here. And if you plug in minus 8, you would get minus 8 plus 4, which is minus 4. When you square that, you get 16. And that's what r squared is. So the equation of the circle is x minus 2 squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 20. Unfortunately, I don't see that listed. So if it's not listed, I gotta start thinking about what I need to do. And I would say expand it might be a good idea. This is x squared minus 4x plus 4. This will be y squared plus 8y plus 16 equals 20. I don't see that in the key either. I'm going to rearrange it, x squared plus y squared. And then you get minus 4x plus 8y plus 20. I still don't see it in the k. I'm going to subtract 20 from both sides. And I'm seeing it. Where do I see it? Right over here. X squared plus y squared minus 4x plus 8y is equal to 0. So the next question. Next question is a projectile problem, and you got a function, h of t. I'm going to factor it. I notice that 16 is common to both of those terms, and so is t. You can get 9 minus t. Again, 16 times 9 is 144. So you get 144t minus 16t. I know this is a parabola. This is the ground. At time 0, t is 0. The height would be 0. It goes up, and then it comes back down, hits the ground. When does it hit the ground? At 9. It hits the ground at 9. And then there's going to be a vertex here. What's the vertex going to be? Well, it's a dead center. So what's the dead center between 0 and 9? 9 halves. I don't know what this is, though, the height. Let's write this down. H of 9 halves equals 16 times t, which is 9 halves. This is the vertex, by the way. And 9 minus 9 halves is 9 halves. What do you get there? You get 16. 9 times 9 is 81. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 goes into 16 4 times. 4 times 81 is 324. So the max height happens at the vertex, and it's 324 feet. It hits the ground at 9 seconds. put a box in that. And we'll go to the next question. Next question, it says evaluate f of a minus 1. Well, f of a minus 1, I square it. Then I take twice the argument a minus 1 and add 3 to it. I do not see that answer listed. Let's expand. A squared minus 2a plus 1 plus 2a minus 2 plus 3. A squared, that's there, minus 2a plus 2a, there are no a's now. 1 minus 2 is minus 1, plus 3 is plus 2. Let's look in the key, and I see that letter B. All right? Again, we're going to keep moving along, go to 17, 18, so forth and so on to get the end of it. And what's nice about this one, it doesn't mean to be a difficult one. They won't do a composition, but its domain might cause trouble for you. So g of x and f of, what's g of x? It's 2x minus 1. What does f do to it? It cubes it. By the way, you don't have to cube it, but if you want to cube it, you can. I'll put this down as an answer for this one over here. What's a domain? Well, what's coming in? All the real numbers. What is it pumping out? All the real numbers. And does f have a trouble with that? It does not. Its domain is also real numbers. So the domain over here is minus infinity to infinity, all real numbers. Let's do the next one. This is g of f of x. Well, g, what's f? It's x cubed. What does g do to it? It doubles the argument and then takes 1 from it. All right, let's go over this domain range thing again. What comes in? All real numbers. What goes out? All real numbers. Does g have issues with that? G has no issues with that. So what's the domain over here? All real numbers. All right, let's keep moving along, and we'll go to the next one. And the next one going to be in, I guess, the last set of questions over here. Yeah, so let's take a look at that. Hopefully it's not going to be too difficult to do, but it says list all the possible rational roots. What do? You're basically looking at the factors of 10 divided by the factors of 1. It looks pretty easy. So it's going to be plus or minus. It's a list of those. The factors of 10 would be 1, 2 is a factor of 10, 5 is a factor of 10, and 10 is a factor of 10. These are candidate rational roots. They're the candidate ones. So now they ask me to log divide. Let's write this down. X squared minus 2x plus 2. I'm going to divide that in 2. This fourth degree polynomial. And one term at a time. So what times x squared would get x4 would be x squared. That goes in the x squared column. You get x4. Then you get minus 2x cubed. And then you get plus 2x squared. I'm going to subtract. And what do you get there? Let's see, you get minus 5x squared plus 10x minus 10. I have to match that. And what would match that? Minus 5. What do you get? Minus 5x squared. Minus 5 times minus 2x is plus 10x. And minus 5 times 2 is minus 10. The remainder is 0. So now I know that, this is the result of my division, x squared minus 5. That's my long division. So now I know how to factor f. And the factor of addition of f is going to be, well, I just did it. It's really just going to be x squared minus 5 times x squared minus 2x plus 2. All right? So what they want to do is linear factors, and these are what's called quadratic factors. So you have to know their roots. And for example, the root of x squared minus 5 would be when x squared equals 5. And the roots of this thing would be x equals plus or minus the root of 5. So I can factor that knowing the roots. It's going to be x minus root 5, and then x plus root 5. Let's do the other one. It's going to be x squared. I'm going to look for its roots. Minus 2x plus 2 equals 0. I can't factor that using integers, so I'm going to have to go to quadratic formula. You could also complete the square if you want. Let's see, twice the coefficient of square term, 2. The opposite of the coefficient of linear term, 2. Plus or minus, here comes the tough part. Square the coefficient of linear term, which is 4. And it's going to be minus 4 times the coefficient on the quadratic term. So 4 times 1 times the constant, so it's 8. All right, what do you get here? X equals, We just use quadratic formula. I gotta simplify this because it looks crazy. 2 plus or minus, and that's the square root of minus 4. Well, I know what that is. It's 2 plus or minus 2i over 2, which gives me 1 plus or minus I. And that's 2. There's 2 roots there. So let's write this down. And it's going to be 1 minus the root, 1 plus I. So it's going to be minus 1 minus I. You know what? This is an x. Sorry about that. That wouldn't make sense anyway, would it? Next root is going to be, let's see, next factor, x minus 1 plus I. Put a box in this. Go to the next question. List all the roots. Pretty simple. What do we get? We found minus root 5. We found root 5. We found 1 plus I. And we found 1 minus I. Put a box in this. And I think that's it. Yeah, we're done. Thank you.